We're going to get a max degree tack shooter Paragon and see how far it can go. We'll be playing on balance as the Bloons will have to circle around the Tackagon 3 times before leaving. Now, to get a degree 100 Paragon, we'll need lots of pops on some tack shooters, plenty of Paragon totems, and tons of money. So we spent the first 100 or so rounds getting farms all around the map, loading the top and bottom with totems, and defending the center with our 3 tier 5s and a village. This put most of the pops on the tack shooters and let us comfortably coast until it was time to make the Paragon around 123. The first thing I noticed was how different it looked from the announcement trailer. Just like the other Paragons, it must change appearances based on its degree, as ours was red and black with blue flames, and the trailer's was black and silver with orange flames. Just off looks alone, it's worth it to max out the Crucible of Steel and Flame, especially with the cool skull being in the blue flames up top. The second thing I noticed was how large its range was. I was expecting it to reach just past the circle on balance, but it was making it about halfway to the hedges, which was a very nice surprise. And when we activated its ability that gives it extra range and pierce, the constant maelstrom was making it all the way to the outskirts of the map. Honestly, balance was the perfect map to do this on, as it was so satisfying. This thing tore through the first few rounds, and I was ready to let it run free. I turned on auto start and watched its main attack rip through oodles of ZLMGs, but then round 126 came with DDTs. I totally forgot that this guy doesn't have camo detection, as they just marched through the map, causing us to lose. I used our free continue and thought of ways to give it camo detection. Because it's a Paragon, we can't buff it with a village or ETN, so that leaves us with a couple options. The first is to give it an Ascended Shadow, which does work, but I didn't want to see how far the Ninja Gun and Tackagon could get. I wanted to see how strong this new Paragon was on its own. So after a couple rounds of having the Ninja Paragon down, I got rid of him and bought an Energizer. This, plus a couple Signal Flare mortars, was the best camo detection option I could think of, as they should be able to decamo everything in the middle while also not doing enough damage to help the Crucible beat around it normally lose to. But with these down, I comfortably sat back and watched him rip through the rounds. It didn't matter what Bloon was sent his way, even fortified ZLMGs were getting popped down to nothing as they entered the circle. DDTs were popped the moment the Tackagon could see it, and everything else was a non-factor. That is, until the bads came on around 140. We popped the fortified one about 1 lap around the center, but what worried me were the DDTs inside. This time we popped them just fine, but in the future it might be hard for us to decamo them in time, especially if there are tons of Bloons around. But now it was time for our Crucible to take on the random rounds. From here on out, the rounds can consist of just about anything except for fortified bads. But this just means we'll be facing a mixture of DDTs, an insane number of blimps, and a few bads, really testing this guy's pierce and damage. But I don't have much to say for a bit, so we'll just put this in fast forward until we start using his abilities. Now, the Bloons have been slowly getting farther and farther as their health and speed scales with every round, and eventually it was too much for our Crucible to handle. On round 172, some ceramics from inside a bad managed to leak, but we still have his abilities to start using, so we used a continue, gave him a tech bot, and hit play. This will use both of his abilities whenever they're off cooldown. The first, Meteor Impact, calls down a meteor that does insane damage in a small area, and the second gives the Crucible extra range, pierce, and a new high pierce flame attack that erupts out of the Paragon. These should make the rounds much easier. The extra range popped everything but the bads early, essentially leaving the middle to only the purple whales. And that's when we called in the meteor. This massive crater popped all 3 of the bads in the center, leaving us with just 1 injured one to take out, and our Crucible did that no problem. This turned into a trend as we kept popping everything but bads with the main attack, and the Meteor Impact would take out these tanky guys. It was very fun watching this meteor clean up the center time and time again, but whenever it was on cooldown, the bads would march through the map. And on round 179, something leaked again. The camos inside the final bad didn't get revealed soon enough, and some ceramics leaked. Now, I wasn't willing to lose due to camo detection, so I got down 2 more signal flares and gave them all different attack speeds. I mixed it up with Berserker Brews, Jungle Drums, and Stronger Sims to make sure their attacks would be offset, giving us the highest odds of decamoing right away. And this actually made the difference. We popped the DDTs right after breaking the bad's outer layer. But round 180 was a different story. We used the abilities to pop the bads as they came in, but the final one was too much. We popped the DDTs inside right away, but the normal Bloons are what got through, as several ceramics and Moabs were barreling towards the exit when we lost. So round 180 is where a max degree Crucible of Steel and Flames loses on balance.